This is one of Ford's most reliable engines. Yet, my truck has spent more time on the back of a tow truck than I'd like to admit. So today, I'm covering 5 parts every 7.3 owner should check before they leave you stranded. Starting off at number 5 is the glove plug system. This is easily one of the most neglected parts of a 7.3. Glove plugs preheat the cylinders so diesel can ignite during cold starts. When they're working, you'll never really think about them, but you'll definitely notice when they're not. This system usually fails one of 2 ways: heat damage or electrical resistance. The glove plugs themselves can burn out over time, but just as often, the problem can be electrical. The valve cover harness and glove plug relay can also be the culprit. Once the temperature drops below 40, starting becomes a gamble without glove plugs. The engine will crank and crank with white smoke pouring out of the exhaust, but the truck still won't fire. The fix here is simple: inspect and replace before complete failure. Burned valve cover connectors are usually easy to spot from the melted plugs on top of either head. As for the glove plugs, they typically last a minimum of 80,000 miles, but once one fails, the rest aren't far behind. As for the relay, a quick check with the multimeter is all that's needed. These engines should have no problem starting in single-digit temperatures, and a truck that won't start is super frustrating, but it's nothing compared to a truck that shuts off while driving. And that's exactly what number 4 can do. At number 4 is the cam position sensor, or CPS for short. This little sensor can cause a 7.3 to die and not start again, sometimes completely out of nowhere. This is a Hall effect sensor that reads the trigger wheel on the camshaft. It tells the engine computer the RPM and cam position. However, without that data, the engine will stall instantly. This mostly happens due to the age of the sensor. They just fail after so many heat cycles. Outside of stalling, the biggest warning sign is a dead tack while cranking, along with occasional misfires, especially when slowing to a stop. Sadly, there's not much you can do to prevent a CPS from failing, but there are ways to avoid being stranded. I always carry a spare CPS in the glove box, along with a 10mm socket and a ratchet. They're cheap, compact, and held in with a single bolt. Changing one on the side of the road isn't fun, but it beats waiting for a tow truck. There are a few different color CPS sensors out there. Some are better than others, but the black and purple Motorcraft sensor is the one that I use in my truck. As long as it's a genuine Motorcraft part, that's all that matters to me. And while the CPS is one of the easiest parts to swap on the side of the road, number 3 is the complete opposite, and that is the mechanical fuel pump. This is an OBS specific part. Luckily for you post-99 guys, Ford switched to an electric fuel pump on those trucks. As for the OBS, the pump is mounted in the engine valley, and it's actuated off of one of the cam lobes. Obviously, these pumps are responsible for getting fuel to the injectors, which they do reliably. However, when they start to fail, it can be a real pain to diagnose and replace. But there's one key giveaway. On the back of these pumps, there's a small weep hole. When the internal diaphragm starts to crack, diesel will slowly leak out of that hole, and that is a clear sign that the pump is on its way out. Now, that doesn't sound too hard to diagnose, until you actually try to find it. The catch is that the weep hole faces the back of the engine, where it's hard to see. That's why this issue is so commonly misdiagnosed. Another extremely common leak in this area is from the fuel bowl. Both components leak diesel straight into the engine valley, making the failure hard to track down. There are a few signs that you'll notice while driving. A lack of power under load is common, along with longer crank times as air can now enter the fuel system. One of the best ways to pinpoint this leak is actually baby powder. Once the area is dry, a light dusting will reveal the leak within minutes of startup. As for prevention, using a quality fuel additive helps lubricate the pump's internals. I'll have the one that I use linked down below. A lot of these failures start long before the truck actually breaks down. And number 2 is a perfect example of that, which is the IPR valve and ICP sensor. We're knocking out 2 birds with 1 stone. Both are critical to how a 7.3 runs. The ICP measures oil pressure in the driver's side oil gallery, and that data tells the IPR how much to open. Since both deal with such high pressure oil, their failures often overlap. Their pressures can be anywhere from 500 to over 3,000 psi, which often leads to the internal seals breaking down over time and allowing oil to seep into the connectors, which is never good. Another failure that only affects the IPR is debris gumming up the valve, causing it to stick open. When this happens, a scan tool is needed to monitor its position. As for symptoms, both include long crank times, misfires, and possibly stalling, all of which can be sporadic. Although they share a lot of symptoms, the main difference between them is on hot starts. When the truck gets up to operating temp, shutting it off and restarting it will help diagnose the issue. If the truck struggles to start when it's hot, that usually points to the IPR. As the oil thins out at that temperature, a stuck open IPR can take longer to build pressure. Wiring issues are also common on both, so inspect the harness for any damage. Now, there's no real preventative maintenance for the ICP, and a new one costs about $120, so I personally don't carry a spare. But in a pinch, unplugging the sensor can get you home. When this is done, the computer will default to a set value, which will allow the engine to run. As for the IPR, doing 5,000 mile oil changes with a quality oil will help the valve from getting stuck and keep the screen from clogging. Finally, at number 1, we have the heart of the HUI system, the high pressure oil pump, or HPOP. Its job is to supply high pressure oil to fire the injectors. The HPOP itself is actually a very reliable part, if it's taken care of. This isn't number 1 because it fails the most, it's number 1 because when it fails unexpectedly, it's the hardest to deal with. There's a common saying that every 7.3 leaks, and while that's mostly true, some leaks need immediate attention. The most common HPOP issues are external leaks. The O-rings and fittings are frequent failure points. Small leaks might not shut the engine off right away, but they can cause misfires and a noticeable loss of power. A severe leak, however, can prevent the system from building enough pressure to start at all. These pumps can also fail internally. The springs can break, and the brass barrel can wear thin over time. When that happens, symptoms look a lot like IPR problems. However, it's more severe, including hot start no starts and an extreme loss of power, which will only get worse over time. This is where oil changes really start to matter. The oil in a 7.3 is constantly being worked, pressurized up to 3,000 psi over and over again, unlike a normal engine. Extending oil change intervals is one of the worst things you can do, not just for the HPOP internals, but for the engine as a whole. The best way to catch these problems early is by inspecting the engine valley. during maintenance, or even just once a month. This area is a hot spot for issues. Fuel leaks, turbo pedestal leaks, and H-pop leaks all show up right here. This one section of the engine contains most of the parts on the list, and checking it occasionally can save you from getting stranded. So that is the top 5 parts that'll leave you on the side of the road. If you own a 7.3, tell me if there's any common parts that I missed, because I'm still reviving my own truck. If you want to see what I've fixed so far, you can click this video right here.